Welcome to Influential Entrepreneurs, bringing you interviews with elite business leaders and experts, sharing tips and strategies for elevating your business to the next level. Here's your host, Mike Saunders.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Influential Entrepreneurs. This is Mike Saunders, the Authority Positioning Coach. Today we have with us Brett Swarts, who's the founder and CEO of Capital Gains Tax Solutions and the author of Building a Capital Gains Tax Exit Plan. Brett, welcome to the program.
Mike, grateful to be here. Thanks for having me.
Hey, I want to talk to you first and foremost about your work with business owners and entrepreneurs, but get us started with a little bit of your story and background and how did you get into the industry?
Yeah, started at Wachovia Securities at an internship in college with my high school basketball coach, who was a long-term financial advisor. So I fell in love with, the ability to help people be great stewards with their wealth and strategy and investing and discipline with that. And growing up, my parents were divorced. We had a lot of money before they were divorced. And then my dad didn't pay any child support. So I knew at a young age, I didn't want to have wealth coming between myself and my family and those that I could help as well. And I kind of grew up mostly in a real estate wealth family in California. So we learned about a lot of real estate investing and management and development. Fast forward from Wachovia, I went to a place called Marcus and Millichap. And I like to say I learned about how to be a real estate investment advisor. I ended up getting my Series 22 and 63 to be able to do some Delaware Statutory Trust, but we mainly focused on 1031 exchanges. And that was all great and fun and exciting until it wasn't in the 2008 crash when we saw friends, family, and clients lose half or all their wealth. And I couldn't help but say, you know what? It seems like these worlds are separated. There's real estate investment world with 1031s versus the securities world of diversification, liquidity, and more, maybe more traditional investing. And I just seemed like there should be a better connection between the two. And the challenge we found was capital gains tax kept it separated mostly because you cannot 1031 exchange into, let's say, a diversified portfolio of liquid investments until we found a different way to be able to do that. And so now we bridge the gap between those that want to sell, want to be done with the toilets, the trash, the termites, want to be in, securities and investments, or just a diversified portfolio of passive real estate investments and not have to suffer the consequences of massive capital gains tax. And so this is what we help. We help advisors across the country, CPAs, financial advisors, business brokers, M&A advisors, real estate agents, basically build capital gains tax exit plans that gives their clients flexibility to make great decisions with their wealth, rather than not selling or not paying a bunch of huge capital gains tax.
Yeah, it sounds like it either keeps you in handcuffs or pulls out the lining in your back pocket and just empties money that shouldn't be.
Yeah, it's a good way to think about it. Yep.
So you mentioned like some of those things that made me think, what would be a trigger for a business owner to go, ooh, I might need to find out more about that, because they just think they're just happy-go-lucky doing things the way they've always done. It's fine. It's good enough. What would be a couple things they could keep in mind to notice to go, ooh, if this happens, then I might need to look closer?
Yeah. Well, the first thing we say is when they're trading what's priceless for what's profitable. A lot of our clients are facing massive gains and success in their real estate, their businesses, even publicly traded stock, Bitcoin. And they're like, for what, right? For what? Like, what matters most to them? And I think just getting clarity on that mission, vision, values for your family and your wealth and what that looks like today, not waiting until like a death on a stepped up basis, or not waiting for something else to be massively changing in your health to make this decision. Sometimes the health concerns can make the decision for you. We like to say, what matters most to you right now? What are the things that you believe in that you can make a difference in right now? What if you could free up more of your time and your energy to make an impact for something that you feel called to in this season of your life? And I'd like to give this as a story. We had a client named Warren and Catherine, and they were selling a multifamily property in Sacramento, California. They'd done, the 1031 exchange and built up a couple $1 million of wealth. And they're having about $120,000 NOI, but they have about $1 million tax if they sell, and it's about 15 apartment units. And I say, Warren and Catherine, why don't you sell their apartment? Why don't we increase your cash on cash, pay off any debt that you have, and basically free up your time that is being spent dealing with the property? And once they look at that and they do the ROI comparison, and it's really not just the return on investment, but it's the return on impact, and they do the ROT, their return on their time, And most of all, they had two twin daughters a little bit later in life, and they're 10 years old, and they're looking at like about an 8-year run before their children are out of the house and in college and such. So it was a very easy, clear decision once you break those things down and you step back from just the cash on cash return, from just the appreciation, right? And you look at what if there's a plan that you could do both? And we call this the power of and. One of my mentors who talks about this. A lot of times we think it's one, it's or, it's this or this. It's high appreciation and some cash flow, or it's paying massive capital gains tax, or it's doing this 1031 exchange that I want to do. Well, the power of and says, what if you were to defer the capital gains tax and get diversification and get liquidity and get more of your time back? And we call these 2 and 3 for ones. It changes everything for families, and it's been transformational for their family. They spend more time with their daughters and more travel. They have more cash flow. They have more asset protection. They have less headaches, and that's the beauty of what we like to build for clients.
That's huge. I love the and. It reminds me of when you're in conversation with someone and go, yeah, that's nice. But and the minute you say but, it's like drawing a line in the sand and going, you're so wrong. Let me show you where I'm right. But when it's the power of and, you're saying, hey, that's a great point. And another thing, it kind of smooths things over, but it sounds to me like you're using it as a wonderful way to open up opportunities, because you can have this and you can have that, but sometimes people just don't know what they don't know.
It's true, and they have advisors that have only been trained in certain products and in certain strategies, and they're not combining cash flow, tax flow, and debt flow. They're just focusing on cash flow. Cash flow is king, and that's their main focus. But it could also be,
You've been listening to Influential Entrepreneurs with Mike Saunders. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.influentialentrepreneurssradio.com.